Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, Shloka number 22. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Purusha Prakrutisto hi Bhungte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Gunasangosya Sadasadyoni Janmasu. Bhagavan Shri Krishna, while answering to the questions of the Arjuna, the 6 words Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetram, Kshetragna, Gnanam and Gneyam. Out of these 6 words, Bhagavan answered the last 4. Now, from the shloka number 20 onwards, Bhagavan started explaining about the first 2 words, Prakriti and Purusha. While he is explaining about this, these Prakriti and Purusha are eternal. They were anadi. Always they exist together only, and from the beginningless time. Therefore, but who is depending on whom? Who is important here? If you ask like that, Purusha, the Shaktiman, is important. Of course, he cannot be called as the Shaktiman without the Shakti. Therefore, Prakriti is an inherent power, the Maya Shakti of the Brahman. Therefore, in fact, Prakriti cannot function without the presence of the Purusha. The reason is Prakriti by itself is Jadam, and Purusha by nature it is consciousness. Therefore, Purusha is important. This Purusha is called in another names Kshetragnaha. He is called Dhruk. He is called Chaitanyam. He is called Brahman. He is called Atma. He is called Paramatma. All are one and the same. In this 22nd shloka, while Bhagavan explaining about the Purusha, this Purusha, he is as though he is caught up, as though the Purusha is enclosed by the Prakriti. So, Prakritistaha he is enclosed. Space is there everywhere, but when the space is divided by the constructions of the walls, then it looks like we think the space is now in the hall. So space is halastaha. Like that, Purusha, this whole Prakriti, the Maya Shakti, the Namarupa Prapancha, here Prakriti means our own body, mind and intellect. Because Sat Chit is everywhere, Brahman is everywhere, but I have to recognize and find out in me, here only, no, with me, within me. Therefore, here Prakriti means, here let us take a limited, first of all, my body, this mind and intellect complex. So in this, as though he is enclosed and sitting, covered by, stuck up in the middle like he, then naturally when it is identified with the Prakriti, then all the modifications comes in the Prakriti. Prakriti is equal to modification. Prakriti is equal to Vikruti Sahita, changes. Therefore, here indeed he is looking like he is the enjoyer. Who? Purusha. What? Whatever the gunas are born out of the Prakriti, Prakriti jan gunan. The gunas are belong to the Prakriti. Prakriti means Maya, and that is all a jadam. But when those all those upadhis are gained, borrowed the sentiency from the Paramatma Brahman, then they are all started as though they are having their own Chaitanyam. Now here a mistake happened, wrong identification, superimposition has taken place. So Prakriti Gunan, Jan Gunan, Bhungte is enjoying as though. And why this enjoyership comes to him? Because of the Karanam Gunasangaha Asya. The enjoyership and the doership are really not there for the Brahman, the real I, me, aham, but because of this closely identification or closely enclosed by, then Karanam is Gunasangasya. And this Gunasangasya Karanam for what? Further, again another body, another birth. Again death, and again another body, another birth. In this way, lower yonis and higher yonis, Deva Rishi yonis, are animal, plant, creatures like that. Sat Asad Yoni Janmasu. Here Sat Asad word is in this context higher and lower yonis, births. This identification, being it is along with the Prakriti, and that wrong identification leads to this continuous non-stop punarapi jananam and punarapi maranam. This is what explained in the 22nd shloka. But this verb, wherever Bhagavan now using the verb while explaining, telling about the Purusha, those verbs are not really the verb. That means Brahman is not doing anything. He can't do anything. But as though now here Brahman doing, Brahman enjoying, everything has to be explained to us by using the word verb, bhungte. That means enjoys. So enjoying is a verb. Enjoying through the sense organs or the body or mind, anything, it is a action. In fact, In the 20th shloka, not 20th, the beginning of this chapter, in the first shloka itself, Lord uses the word of a verb. He says, one second, I will read that. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramitya vidhiyate. First, Bhagavan talking about there the Prakriti. Prakriti, another word is Kshetram. This body and all the bodies and the entire Namarupa outside Prapancha. Idam, the word refers to the entire gross world. And that is all called as the Kshetram, the field of experience. And now, who knows that field, what is happening in the field, just who is watching, who is observing, who is standing as a witnesser, he is called Kshetrajna. To stand as a witnesser, to observe, to know. Otherwise, Bhagavan used the word etadyo veti tam praho. Whoever knows this field, he is called the fielder. He is called the knower. He is called the kshetrajna. Now here also the word, why I am referring this shloka, the word veti, who he knows. Remember, always this knowing process is not a really verb. Knowing. If you say my eyes are seeing, that can be accepted as the action, seeing action, and listening action, talking action, taking action, smelling action, you can say. But when it comes to the knowing is not an action. You may ask or doubt, sir, it is also a action by the mind. Mind is knowing. No, mind is not knowing actually. Mind is able to know this is a good smell, this is a bad smell, this is a red color, this is a green color, which messages, signals are sent by the senses, but that mind is knowing. But even the power of recognizing those differences by the mind, he is illumined by whom? So ultimately there is some other illuminator, because mind is a jadam, it is a subtle matter. So it cannot have on its own the power of this knowing capacity. Therefore, that knowing faculty is really speaking to the of the consciousness. That's why consciousness is a jnana swarupam. That's why we use the Upanishad uses the words it is there, is sat, and it is aware of its presence, knowing. So that is called jnanam. Therefore, archit you can call. So sat and jnanam archit. That chit, it is not like the other knowledge known by the mind. That is ever present, self-effulgent, knowing nature of the Brahman. It is not an action. Catch the point. Therefore, Upanishads, many places declares that Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of the Brahman becomes the Brahman itself. Actually, that knower, the becoming words are also no meaning there. That means the knower itself is Brahman, Brahman itself is the knower. So there is no question of action. Not only that, another statement Upanishad gives that so Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati, or English if you say, translate this, knowing is being. Very important statement. Knowing is being. But you now check it. Whatever is known by the mind never become that. Suppose the mind knows about the dog. Is the mind becoming dog? Or the mind knows about the something else, but the mind doesn't become that something else. But in the case of the Brahman, I knowing is my being. So therefore it is not a verb. As generally we say, using the word knowing is also looks like a process of the mind. Now you got the point. Therefore, hereafter another two more shlokas also, wherever Bhagavan speaks about these verbs, they were all not really the actions of the Purusha, but wrongly closely identified with the Prakriti, and those actions, changes, modifications, all these are all superimposed ignorantly, unknowingly, falsely imposed on the self. Now, this 22nd shloka, second verse, is the further very much elaborated and Bhagavan's self-commentary on this Karanam Gunasangasya Sadasadyonishu. For this sentence, the coming 14th chapter, the full 27 shlokas are going to elaborate this line. Just remember. Now let us go to the 23rd shloka. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwarah paramatmeti chapyuktaha dehesmin purushah parah. In this shloka, many verbs are coming. That's why I explained to you before itself. Now let us see the meaning of this shloka. One is the Purusha about whom we are talking, the Brahman, being he is the Upadrashta, is very closely associated or nearly being with the Prakriti. Drashta means seeing, seer. If that itself is told enough, because Drashta or Drik, Ch-13, Purusha are one and the same. But why Bhagavan is using the word Upadrashta? Because if you normally say that Drashta, see, our eyes are the Drashta. Eyes are the seer. When outside objects are seen and recognized by the eyes, yes, their eyes are the Drashta. Now, all the five sense organs impulses, information is known by the mind. But all five sense organs are only having their own field. They cannot enter the boundary and other field. It functions only in its own field. Now, all the five channels, five informations are known by the mind. Your mind becomes a drashta, knower. And what is happening in the mind, whether it is correct or wrong or good or bad, to do or not to do, there is a higher faculty of the mind which is called buddhi, the discerning, deciding factor, that becomes the drashta. Now, even the buddhi itself is watched by, observed by, witnessed by the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the Bimba Chaitanyam, the Brahman. Therefore, Upa, this much closely. See, the mind to become, the intellect to become drashta, it is depending on the mind. The mind to become the status of the drashta, it depends upon the senses. If the senses has to maintain their status of drashta, they are depending on the objects. Now, this much process is happening. All this is actually known by, and actually the drashta status given to the buddhi, mind, and the senses and the objects, everything is because of the borrowed knowerhood, the capacity of knowing. Therefore, upadrashta, very closely, there is nothing more closer than that closeness. So closer than the closest, nearer than the nearest. That's why upadrashta, who? This Purusha. Here also now drashta, really he is doing any seeing action like the eyes are seeing, the ears are hearing. No. Just because of his presence, he is there just, and they were known. That's it. So further, the consciousness is not putting any efforts forward and let us see who is coming and going, what is this. It is not. It is just illumining. Therefore, watching closely upadrashta and anumanta cha. Here anumanta, not hanumanta. And you will wonder where from the now Anjaneya came. Anumanta means the permitter, anumati, anumodam, who gives the permission, like permitter. First one is spectator. What? That upadrashta means spectator, and this anumanta is who is permitting. And this anumanta word, again, this is also not a verb. Okay, wait, I am not seeing you now, I will permit later. No, that means who is actually, his presence, Purusha Chaitanya presence is there, and they were all permitted like to exhibit, to function. So Anumantacha and Upadrashta. Third is Bharta. Bharta means supporter. Supporter. And then Bhokta, enjoyer. So enjoyer, supporter, and permitter, and the spectator. These all looks like again a kind of action. But in fact, Brahma, Chaitanyam, Purusha, not at all doing any of these actions. So who is functioning in this way without functioning? He is called Maheshwaraha. Being is the knower of everything. My mind cannot know everything. My intellect cannot know everything. But the consciousness Purusha is knowing everything through everybody, through everybody. Therefore, it is called Mahayeshwara, Samashti, the cosmic intelligence or cosmic Sakshitvam, observer. He is called Maheshwaraha, Maheshwaraha. Now here, one or two examples we'll see how this Purusha consciousness is not really doing anything of these works, but it seems to be, it looks like this, without him, who will know, who will watch, who will be the Sakshi, spectator. Spectator means what generally? Who is not involved. Involved. And in whom no modification or change or any action taken place, but he is the spectator. Like same way, he is not giving any permission or anything like that really, but without the presence of the Purusha consciousness, nothing can do. The whole Prakriti cannot do its this magic show. And as the screen, the supporter without this Bharta, where all this will appear, the Adhishtanam, and through his presence only, this mind enjoying, this Ahankara is enjoying, the Pratibimba reflection enjoying. So in the Chidabhasa or Ahankara, Pratibimba or Buddhi, Buddhi only Ahankara, Ahankara only Pratibimba, Pratibimba only Chidabhasa, and the mind, whatever this here, up to here, these all kinds of actions like these Visheshanams can be added, but in really speaking, the Ishvara is not doing anything. And that means consciousness are not doing. Shankaracharya gives one or two examples. Let us see. One, we will take up the example of the Lord Sun. Sun is there and everything is here functioning, appearing and shining. All these things are happening here. Just because of his presence, Yasya Sannidhi Matrena. Yasya Sannidhi Matrena. And for that, Sun is not saying anything or doing anything. He is just there. Yes? When we say this Sun example, we will think that the Purusha consciousness is as like sun, very far in the sky behind the clouds. No, we should not misunderstand in that way. Here, example outside looks like very far. Consciousness, yourself. No distance. Zero distance. Therefore, zero traveling. Therefore, zero struggle. Because I am that. I am that. Now, another example nearby you take, fire is there. Generally, if anything is we put in the fire, or wherever some fire comes out, we say the fire is burning the paper, the fire is burning the wood. Now, in fact, burning verb action is not a action from the standpoint of the fire. Please understand, little subtle. The fire burning action only, no? Generally we consider and we talk in that sense. But fire, from its standpoint, fire is not doing anything. Then what is happening, sir? Anything comes near to the fire, it gets burnt. So fire won't say that, okay, come. I know that you will come. You are a bad guy. I will burn you. You have so many dead bodies. Every day people will take and put on the fire. Fire is always fire, and burning power is its essential nature. For that, before you put the body in the fire or paper in the fire, fire is fire. After you put the paper also, it is fire. Now, what you say here? In the presence of the fire, the burning process automatically happens. So never say fire is burning. If you understand this example, in the same way, the Purusha consciousness never do any action. Avikriyaha. But here, when the closeness with the Prakriti, with these upadhis happens, it looks like that as the Purusha Chaitanyam is doing all the actions, therefore all the problems. If you just imagine, if the problems are there to Ishvara or this Chaitanyam Paramatma Purusha, how much you should be sorrowful and pathetic, because one body, one person's, one family, one life is lot of struggle and problems and suffering and everything, complaints. If the whole world is here as said Maheshwaraha, this Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, all are Maheshwaraha. Then naturally the Ishvara should be a very unfortunate and pathetic and disgusted guy. But it is not so. Now, after saying this much, Bhagavan in the second line using now the same Maheshwaraha. Why? What is the difference for Maheshwara and another word Paramatma? Now he is going to say Maya Sahita Brahma is called Maheshwara or Ishvara. Naturally, the Samashti Pratibimbam, Samashti, total cosmic intelligence, cosmic prana, cosmic reflection. This we call it as the Ishvara. Now, Bhagavan using this same Maheshwara, when we look from his own essential standpoint, without the association of the Prakriti Maya, is also called as Paramatma iti. Paramatma iti. So, Samashti Upadi Sahita means associated with the Maya is called Maheshwara. Same way, that same Paramatma, no, Paramatma without Parameshwara without associating with the Maya is called Paramatma. Paramatma associated with the Maya is called Maheshwara. These two different names, that's it. But anyhow, Bhagavan want to clarify these two. That means Maya Sahita Brahma Maheshwara Ishvara, he is not also affected by, suffering by the association of the Maya. Now here we have to be clear. But who is a part and parcel of the same Maheshwara, this Jiveshwara? Yes, a mini reflection, that is a big reflection, but is a part of the whole individual. But this Jivatma, why I am calling Jiveshwara, because it's nothing but the form of the Ishvara only, one and the same. But here in this small little identification of this body mind complex Upadhi, here he suffers because in Ishvara there is no Ajnana. In Jiva, nothing but there is Ajnana. By birth he is ignorant. Therefore now he has to struggle, he has to reverse back, he has to recognize himself through the listening to the Shastra teaching Vedanta. Therefore, the same Maheshwara. Now, if you use these four words of Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, either to Maheshwara, and still the untouched of anything, who is always independent, Swatantraha, is Paramatma iti cha api uktaha. Who? In this Dehe, Asmin Dehe, Purushaha. Now, altogether, Arjuna, you have to know the same one here. Now, Purusha word can be taken in by this explanation three levels. There are no three levels at all. There is only one Brahman. But when it is we come down and talk about this Maya, Prakriti, Ajnanam and all that, then you have to explain to you. Therefore, Purusha means only one. That is called Brahman. Here Purusha word is nothing to do with the male or female, that gender thing. Purnatvat iti Purushaha, Pureshayanatvat iti Purushaha, Purayitvat iti Purushaha, Paripurnatvat iti Purushaha. That is Brahman, consciousness. And that now, Prakriti, when come closer to Brahman, consciousness need not to go closer to anywhere because it's all pervading. Where the space goes, space has to go anywhere? No. Everything is avakasham dadati akasham. Everything is in the akasham. So whatever is appearing, disappearing, everything is happening in the Brahman, but nothing happened to the Brahman. That is what we have to understand finally. Nothing happening to the Brahman. Therefore, Asmin Dehe, so Samashti Purusha, Maheshwara, and here Veshti is Asmin Dehe, Purushaha. Actually speaking, he is Paraha. Vareyavuru Purusha. But looking from the totality to the individual, Samashti to the Vyashti. But when this Vyashti is culminated, merged in the Samashti, And Samashti is nothing but an expression of the Brahman through his internal power, and that Brahman is I am, even I am. And also Shankara gives here another one example, as like when some ritual is going on, four brahmanas, it's a perfect big ritual. If you take it like that, four brahmanas will be there, Yajamana will be there, and all they were doing their duties, functions, actions. But there is one more uh, Brahmana. His name itself is called in that context Brahma, because he won't do anything. He knows, but he knows everything, all what kind of these four priests, four Vedas has to do, are doing. And what Yajamani has to do, that also he knows. And he simply keep quiet, very closely to them, Upadrashta. And in between he keeps, he keep on give the permissions. Om, continue. And if anything goes anywhere wrong, he observes. And but Brahman don't do this also. But this only for example. So he is he observes everything, and he permits everything, but he is not, as he is enjoying like knowing everything, but he is really not doing anything in the same way, like that the example given by the Shankaracharya. Now let us go to the 24th shloka. य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयोऽभिजायते. Now the point is, now who knows in this way clearly, who here we have to know as a jiva right now in this body, as individual person, I has to know what? Oh, really speaking, the Purusha is always independent, untouched, and he is pure. And other side, Prakriti, which is consisting of three gunas, therefore modifications, therefore appearing, disappearing, and all changes, modifications. So the process of changing, modifications, and the effects of those changes, modifications, gunas, that all gunaihi saha, with together, along with, if we know very well, and still if I consider I am that Purusha who is untouched, independent, unmodified, and one, then afterwards sarvada vartamanaha api. That means in whatever condition, in wherever, whatever work he do or anything, whatever maybe way he lives, moves with this body, because body is there still upadhi, but to such a person, he is a gnani of he is the knower of the truth. He is the knower of his own self, essential nature. Therefore, the prakriti, the effects of karma, karma phala, punya papa, which are the cause of the another birth, death, higher, lower yonis, these things never happens hereafter to this gnani. Here, evam vetti means the knower of the truth. That is the meaning. We can say otherwise gnani. Mahatma, the wise person. For him, then whatever maybe he is doing here, because he never claims that I am doing, and he never takes those modifications, whatever happens in the body mind intellect complex, as real, or this world is real, and for him there is nothing to lose or nothing to gain or nothing to nowhere to go, nothing to do for him. So such a person, whether he lives here, whether lives there, whether he is in the female body or in the male body, she, whoever may be, and he may be young or he may be old, he is in the brahmacharya ashrama or grihastha or vanaprastha or sannyasa, it doesn't matter, but he is a realized person now. Veti. Therefore, saha na abhuyah abhijayate. He never comes into the, again, influence of the cycle of birth, death, all this. Transmigration won't be there. Therefore, no transmigration, no need of immigration or any problem. Okay, he's always full within himself. Atmanevatmana tushtah sthita prajnastadochyate. All the qualities of the sthita prajna, which are explained in the second chapter, we have to recollect. After keeping all that only, then we can say, yes, he is the way, knower of the truth, knower of the Brahman. That's why in the last shloka of the second chapter, Bhagavan, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Pardha Enam Prapya Na Vimuhyati. Further, he never gets deluded. He never feels that I am having the body, I born, I die. These kind of thoughts are all completely removed, gone. Therefore, that is called Esha Brahmi Sthiti. Why I am explaining extra all this beyond the shloka words meanings, because when Lord says Saha na bhuya abhijayate, okay, that we have to understand. Again, he never will be born. Birth is not there at all for me. Because if you accept that birth is there, there is always a buck in the mind, heart, because this year birthday, I have become 1 year old. Another birthday, I will become 1 year old. So, old age, I am becoming old. But I am ever the same. Then how your attitude will be? But now, because of these modifications of the body, all these things, you are identifying and unnecessarily suffering, unnecessarily thinking, unnecessarily running. Why all this? Please drop it. Know the truth. After saying here like that, now from 24, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5 shlokas, Bhagavan talked about the Prakriti and Purusha. It should be very, very clear. Again, we have to listen. Again, we have to do some analysis until it becomes a crystal clear in our understanding. There should not be any trace of doubt about this. This is called Viveka. How I can separate myself by being one with this body-mind complex Prakriti. Is it necessary that I have to physically separate or mentally? Yes, mentally, intellectually, the understanding is important. Physically, we need not to do anything, you can't do anything. Therefore, let it go. The Prakriti as it goes, let it go. That's why, even though I claim myself, I am the Brahman, I am all pervading all this, but even I don't know when this body is going to disappear. Then what, sir? You are simply talking that I am the Brahman, I am all pervading. Then this kind of doubt will come, and the people will think that you have no any supra intelligence power, you have no any extraordinary siddhis to know that. This is all again a Maya. Why I have to know the if I am having any extra, there is nothing extra than me. But the mind questioning, you are asking from the mind standpoint, the mind will always raise this kind of questions only. Then it will make you to stuck up and stop there itself. Be careful. Many, after listening so many times, so much Shastra also, this kind of some kind of this inner corruption is there in the mind, because we are not able to drop the mind. Whatever mind asking the question, you give importance to that question. In self, in you, where is the question? What question you want? Whatever you ask, that is all about the matter, about the phenomenal world. So any question if you are asking means you are going away from you. That's why who is doubting, who doubt the doubter. Ramana Bhagavan says, question this questioner. Who is this questioner? Who is asking this? What he wants exactly. Therefore, very subtle nididhyasanam. Never give importance or justify your mental. Go away, go up. You be in your own green room. Be within yourself. Don't leave the center, because the I is the center. In that I, that is pure I, there is no any doubt. There is no any deficit. There is no any deterioration. There is no any discrimination, divideness, any D, no D's at all there. Okay. Now, after that, from 25th shloka, Bhagavan, if you are not able to grasp this subtle teaching of how to abide in your own self, how to drop all other things. If you are not prepared for this, this is possible only for the Uttam Adhikari. Because Adhikari Bhedams are there. Many times Shastra talks about it. Sadhana Chaturya Sampatti, as required in full measure, may not be there in everybody. Gradually they have to, that gradual improvement of the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti only, the constant continuous shravana. But who is with that full measure of all the preparation and qualification, for him shravanam itself is enough. He listened, he grasped, he understood, He abided in the truth. Afterwards, only time pass. He has no any different of opinions. He has no any kind of clash. He has no any kind of misunderstanding. He has no any kind of complaints. That state. That's only Lord said in that end of that second shloka, just which I am reminding you. Nainam prapya vimuhyati. He never now gets deluded. Means what? No any question, no doubt. Here, no doubt means no desire also. No desire, no doubt for him. No difficulty to dwell in himself, within himself. But there is always a madhyamadhikaris and adhamadhikaris will be there. For them, Lord now is telling little, okay, you start from the lower level of practice, or like that. We saw in the previous chapter also how different levels of practice stages given. Now here 25th shloka, just we'll start it. ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मन अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. I will just give the little brief meaning, but we have to little more think about this each statement. Some people, by meditation, they behold this self in the self, by the self. Here only difficulty comes. How many selves are there, sir? That's why we'll see, we'll analyze. While Bhagavan talking about the Uddhared Atman Atmanam, how many Atma words he used? Uddhared Atmanatmanam Atmanam Avasadait Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripur Atmanah. Why so many Atmas? Like that. Okay, behold the self, in the self, by the self. Okay, by doing meditation. Some others, by doing them, this knowledge process, okay, yoga of knowledge, that is called here Sankhya. Okay, some are in the meditation itself, they will recognize it. Meditation here means nididhyasana. Some are like this, with a little bit struggle, using their own mind and correcting using their intellect and correcting the mind and trying to turn the mind inside, and then from to the little more inside. So Anye Sankhyena, this is by constant regular studies of the knowledge, science, yoga of knowledge, and some with the karma yoga cha apare. Okay, nothing. It is Bhagavan again wants to, karma yoga is very important, that prepares you. Then upasana yoga, it prepares you. Then take up the path of gnana yoga and start do shravanam, that prepares you. But don't think that all these are all, they are different methods. Any method can give the final knowledge. No. How karma can give the knowledge? Even it is a karma yoga, it is only prepares you. It purifies you. It gives a qualification to you. Therefore, that all already we analyzed, but in this context, Why Bhagavan is giving like this some choice? Because no one should feel disgusted. He is Brahman, Purusha, Atma is very difficult to grasp or understand. Yes? There is a difficulty in understanding, even though it is about you. About you. Why we struggle to understand many things about many things in about many things in this world. But to understand about you also, why the difficulty struggle? Because you are, first of all, you means you are wrongly taking something which you are not. You have to drop that. That is what Shastra, Gita, Krishna wants us to do. So next class we'll go further. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om Tat Sat.